All right, good news, bad news. The bad news is our friend and colleague Rick Hirschmann is going to be leaving 93.3 The Drive and going on to seek fortunes elsewhere. The good news is we get one more chance to embarrass him in a broadcast because John and Nancy are still talking. All right, so the only other time, Rick, that you were on the podcast, well, we had you on the...
why you gave me the squeaky chair?
Everybody's got a squeaky chair in here today. The only other time you were on the podcast was like forever ago.
It was the question generator.
Yeah, the random question generator, which we will not subject you to today because we have just questions of our own. So Rick has decided to move to a new position in his life after 40 years in radio?
Yeah.
40 years.
How you feeling right now? How many, honey? Did I just call him honey? How you
like,
feeling now, buddy?
How you feeling, honey?
Like, what's just the feeling right now?
I don't know, Toots. Actually, it's funny that I don't know where that came from, but that was actually in one of the harassment company things we had to do. That was the example. You can't call somebody Toots,
Yeah,
but at this point, I don't care.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Fire me? So after 40 years in broadcasting here in the greater Peoria metropolitan area, you decided to change directions a little bit. And was there a catalyst that made you do this? Was it just you've been at it for so long? You're something Nancy said or did?
All of the above. I've been trying to explain to people that it's almost like a pie chart, right? And there's about 10 slices to this pie chart, and each one was a contributing factor to make this decision. So it wasn't like A happened or B happened, and this is something we've been thinking about for a long time. Some different things fell into place to allow it to happen. And it was just one of those things where it was just time. It was time to do something different. We want to end up in the Carolinas anyway. I don't want to go there when I'm 70.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the things, and this is the only kind of maybe down part of all of it, is we have heard so many stories over the last couple of years or something of somebody saying, we were going to do this in retirement, and then my husband had a heart attack, or then there was the women who were going through a cancer, and then there was someone else who had a stroke. And it was one of those where it's like you wait your whole life to do something.
Yep.
But something might get in the way, and now I guess we got a little tired of playing it safe.
Yeah, that is a super long way to say you want to make more money, but that's fine. It's all good. No.
The Home Depot apron is what
No, I know what you mean by that because, I know people don't realize, when people are young, they think they're bulletproof forever, and they think, you make these great grand plans, and then life kind of comes swinging in out of nowhere and
it does.
Messes everything up. So I applaud you for that. I think that's really great. You are.
Well, we'll see in 3 months if there's any income rolling in.
Yeah, right.
You'll have no problem making
I don't
money.
think you will either.
But but you're gonna, you're probably not gonna be broadcasting anywhere, at least not on the radio side.
No, not likely anyway. There's where we're going. It's the big companies. Yeah. And they don't hire people, and maybe part-time. I mean, that would be pretty great.
Yeah. I wish that for you because when you first started talking about this to me, I've been at this for 40 years too, right? And so you start thinking that from the time I was in my 20s, I've had a radio show every day.
Yeah.
Right? Every day.
Same.
I've had a radio show. And then all of a sudden going, you no longer have a radio show every day. I'm like, ouch. I thought, wow, that'd be great to sleep in. That's the first thing that goes through your mind because you do mornings. And then the second thing is, dang, because I love it so. I love the art. I love the whole thing about radio. That's why I've been in it this long. And as anybody who's been in it a long time will tell you, at the beginning at least, it doesn't pay very well.
No, but one of the cool things is that you don't really think about or realize. Someone said to me, you're going to miss being the guy on the radio or known for that. And part of me was like, I don't have a big ego. So I was like, yeah, well, maybe. maybe, I don't know. But the other day I had to call the county clerk for something, and I got through to, it had something with jury duty, and I got through to the lady. And then when I gave her my name, suddenly she stopped and she was like, wait, I know that. Are you on the radio?
Isn't that interesting?
All of a sudden it was just kind of like, well, yeah.
Isn't that
she
interesting?
goes, we have it on back here and all that. And it's like, that's the coolest thing out of all of it.
Except in your case, most of the time it's been, are you on the radio? You're Jamie Markley,
Jamie
right?
Markley.
Right.
If I had $1, I'm telling you, if I had $1, you're Jamie Markley, right? No. And then when you sometimes then you tell them, they're like, oh, yeah, I listen to you too.
Well, I tell you what, it's been, really, Rick's one of the architects of the drive, and how it was all put together, and a lot of it comes from the songs and the feel and the vibe come from Rick, and it's been a great template to operate from. You're really, really good at it, and we will miss that terribly.
It's been fun, and just seeing it change, and again, it goes back to the other thing too, when people are like, oh, that's my station, or that's my thing, and that's
well
cool.
I and I've been at this so long, and you have too, so you'll see like an adult, right, like an adult person in their maybe 30s will go, yeah, well, we used to listen to you when I was going to school.
Yeah, right.
My mom had you on in the car when we were going to school when we were little. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, my back hurts.
I believe we work with some people who are like that.
It's very true. So Rick's moving to South Carolina, going to pursue a new something. You got anything?
Maybe radio down there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like I said, if I could at least get part-time to do something that would, just to kind of keep your toes in it, that would be great. Other than that, that's the scariest part of the whole thing.
Right.
It's like we actually feel a calling to do this. Like, this is bigger than us.
Oh, yeah.
And it's too many to get into now, but the way things have fallen into place and what has happened, the domino effect has been really amazing. In fact, my wife and I are starting a podcast about it.
Okay, there you go. That'll be fun.
And we're going to be doing...
Is that called The Old Ball and Chain? Is that the name of it?
That's my side, because there was a lot of arm twisting to get me to do it.
Well, that'd be fun. Well, I got another offer for you, too. I was thinking about, because our show is your show. You're always welcome.
Yeah, for sure.
On the morning drive. And I thought maybe we'd just do a daily segment at 5:30 a.m., which I think would be really great. I don't know what we'd call it. Grouchy guy?
That's fine, as long as we can record it the afternoon before. That would be all about it.
So what happens in this business when you get out of it? And I've talked to other guys who've been lifers, You get out of this business and everybody goes, well, what were your greatest moments in your career? Your greatest, because everybody, unless you're in radio, you don't really understand how really, it's like every other job is just a lot of normal, mundane day-to-day. It does have some flashes, though. And one of the things that I always think back on is you do get the opportunity to meet some famous people, right? That's just part of the deal. You're promoting events, people passing through town, you're interviewing people, they're promoting something, and so you meet some famous people. Who's the most famous person you ever met in your career of radio of 40 years?
The most famous.
Yeah, who would you say?
Wow.
And that can go to either
impressive.
of you.
I mean, he's met a lot of famous people.
No, but I mean most famous. What's the most famous person?
Who measures that? I mean, in music.
I mean, I never met the Springsteens and the Jaggers and all of that. I mean, the very first guy I ever met was Billy Squier.
Sweet.
Who was a total ass. I mean, it was just...
Oh, really?
And by the way, so was Mr. Mellencamp.
That's what we've heard, right?
Yeah.
With
But the dudes in Styx and REO are just real people.
Yep.
All of that kind of stuff. Boy, I can't pinpoint one.
I don't think you were here yet. You were probably still working on the other side of town, but over at the MBD studios, a young Illinois state senator popped over here one time.
Right.
Oh, yeah, Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Got to meet him, like, state senator. Yeah, whatever. Bye.
The week that Dee Snider was here
that's true.
was pretty amazing.
It was great.
Just to get the whole I'm a rock star, but yet again, he was like a good guy.
Isn't that funny?
And all that. He did if you don't know, he did a week on one of our other stations. He was trying to put a morning show together, and it just kind of fizzled, but it was an experiment, and it was just really weird. It was so weird to have people walk down the street and go, wait, that's Dee Snider.
No, it was funny because we went to lunch with him that one time, and everybody's screaming at him walking down the street. You forget. It's like, this guy is so famous. And he even left an extra big tip at the restaurant, even though I was picking up the tab for lunch, because I said, no, you don't have to do that. He goes, yes, I do. I'm a rock star.
Yeah.
If I don't do this, they'll wail on me.
I'm on Twitter.
Yeah, it's so funny. I noticed that you've chosen for the wardrobe of your last day a CT 106 shirt,
No, that's
a vintage one.
Is that
Full circle.
Oh, okay.
Because that's where you started, right?
Yeah.
WWCT.
Yeah. That's babysitting the public service people, making sure they weren't playing commercials.
Fantastic.
That was the thing. $34.17. That's what I made for the weekend.
For the weekend.
Yeah.
And, Nancy, you didn't start on the radio, did you? You were a TV person
I was TV first. And
How long was that TV thing?
6 years. And then
So
I
that
kind
was
of filled in for radio and then transitioned to radio,
6 years is a long time in TV.
Yeah, radio's much more fun.
I interned at WEEK at 25.
Right.
And I quickly learned, I was in sports and like not on air stuff. Didn't want to do that. I quickly learned that TV was not where I wanted to be.
I had my own TV show, myself and the guy named Marty McKee. We had a show on in Cape Girardeau, Missouri called The Only Thing On. And this was basically before, if you didn't have cable television, and not many people did back then, it was literally the only thing on. It was on at like 2 in the morning or something.
Yeah.
We ran bad movies and shtick. But it wasn't for me either. It's too hard. I don't have a face for TV.
The one thing, just going back to famous people, and it wasn't really a thing for me because at that point I had met enough people, but this is back in the 80s, and my wife and I were backstage at an INXS show in Champaign. And the guy from the record label was like, the Ferris brothers are going to come in. They're the ones who do all the stuff. Michael doesn't, he
doesn't come down.
He's Michael. He just doesn't need to do that. So we're talking to these guys. They're very, very nice, and they're signing some stuff. And all of a sudden, Michael comes around the corner, and her knees literally buckled. It's like we had to catch her from falling, and he told that story for years. It was just
funny.
like this swooning for him, and I got it. It's like he was bigger than life at that time.
Yeah, you never. People don't go into the full swoon when the radio guy walks around the corner, but it's still the greatest. It's still been the greatest way to make a living.
Unless you're bringing them Hickory River Smokehouse,
right?
Then all of a sudden they're like, "Hey."
Well, we just want to say, and it's really cool. You posted a really nice thing on our Facebook page, and everybody should read it because it's great.
It is,
and I love reading the comments because it's all those same things. It's all the same feels of people going like, you know what? I've been listening to you forever.
That's
gonna miss your voice, miss your company.
It's super humbling when people take a minute just to do that because they don't have to. And again, like I said in the thing, it's like that's been the best part of all of it.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, here's why. You're good company. People like hanging out with you.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're good company, and that's the great thing about the radio is people can actually feel that coming across. And they'll miss the company. So there you have it. But
we're gonna miss you, Rick.
We will miss you terribly. But I'm still leaving a spot open on the show. So
well, especially it's better because that'll be Eastern Time Zone.
Oh yeah,
an hour later.
I'll be an hour.
That's awesome.
An hour later.
Yep.
Just we'll record something over at the Red Barn. Before
we'll do that. So anyway, I know you've got a million things going on today. It's your last day. Probably a little bit emotional and all those other things going on, but thanks for taking a couple seconds to tuck in here and recap it, and we'll have you back on because if you keep listening,
we'll keep talking.
All right, see you.